Everything started the moment I saw Rebecca stealing my package on the hidden camera. There, on that little screen on my phone, the 35-year-old administrative staff member from the campus, with her air of superiority, was carrying my gaming headset as if it were hers by right. The feeling of powerlessness quickly gave way to something more intense. Pure indignation. I needed that headset for my online classes. I'd saved up for months. The worst part? It wasn't the first time that packages had mysteriously gone missing from our dorm, but it was the first time I had concrete proof. The next morning, I knocked on her door. I took a deep breath before ringing the bell, mentally rehearsing what I was going to say. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like to get access to more stories like this. Rebecca, I know you took my package last night. I have recordings. She opened the door wearing a silk robe, her hair perfectly styled even at that early hour. Her smile disappeared when I mentioned the video. What are you talking about? This is absurd. I have been an employee at this university for over 10 years. I showed her the video on my phone. The image was clear. Her, at 7:43 p.m., taking my package. Anyone could be in that video. The quality is awful. You should be ashamed of accusing a respected employee without concrete proof. I'm going to report this harassment to the administration. She slammed the door in my face. I stood in the hallway with my face burning with anger and shame. How could she lie so blatantly? I went back to my apartment and opened the dorm's WhatsApp group. I hesitated for a moment before sending a message. Has anyone else had their Amazon packages stolen recently? I have a video of our neighbor Rebecca taking mine. The responses came flooding in. Within minutes, almost 20 students reported similar losses. Some had been suspicious of her for months, but nobody had any proof. The campus administration always ignored complaints against employees. Dude, she took my headphones too. My textbooks disappeared last week. I complained 3 times to the administration, but they never do anything. That's when Jeremy, my friend from the engineering course, sent me a private message. I have an idea. The next day, he showed up at my apartment with a small device. It's a GPS tracker. We're going to put it in a fake Amazon box and see where she goes. We put together a convincing package, adding some weight with a few old books, and sealing everything with Amazon tape that Jeremy had kept. We placed the tracker inside and left the package at my apartment door. We didn't have to wait long. At 6:27 p.m., the GPS app started moving. Rebecca had taken the bait. We followed the signal to her apartment, 3 floors above mine. Now, we have physical proof, Jeremy said, his eyes shining with the adrenaline of our little investigation. But it's not enough. What do you have in mind? I asked, already imagining that his answer was going to be interesting. Jeremy smiled that look that always worried me. My dad's an amateur beekeeper. I have access to some interesting stuff. 2 days later, we had a new Amazon box. This time, with a special content, a small nest of wasps, chilled by the cold, collected with proper equipment from Jeremy's dad's property. Are you sure about this? I asked, eyeing the sealed box on the table. The wasps will wake up from the warm air when the box is opened inside the apartment. They aren't lethal, just really unpleasant. We placed the package at the door and waited, watching from a distance. Like clockwork, Rebecca appeared, glanced around, and quickly grabbed the box. 40 minutes later, screams echoed through the building. Fire alarms went off. Students were running out while the campus security and firefighters arrived in force. In the middle of the chaos, I saw Rebecca being treated, with several stings on her face and arms, shouting about a terrorist attack. Our eyes met briefly. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. She knew that I knew, and that was just the beginning. The calm only lasted for exactly 3 days after the wasp incident. I thought Rebecca had learned her lesson, but I was wrong. That's when I started noticing small things out of place. First, my bike woke up with both tires flat. It could be a coincidence, but the look Rebecca gave me when she saw me carrying the bike to the campus repair shop said it all. That same week, I received a notification from the dorm administration about excessive noise during the night. The weird thing was that I had been asleep in the library working on a final project. When I questioned the administrator, he mentioned that Rebecca had filed the complaint, with audio recordings, as proof. This is impossible. I wasn't even in my apartment, I explained, showing the check-in and check-out records from the university app for the library. The administrator looked puzzled. Well, she's been an employee longer than you've been a student. I'll file this complaint, but keep an eye out for any more noise. When I got back to my apartment that afternoon, I found a note slipped discreetly under my door. You don't know who you're dealing with. I can turn your academic life into a nightmare. Employees have power here. Students come and go. The handwriting was elegant, almost artistic, exactly like the signature of Rebecca that I had seen on university documents. My blood boiled. This was no longer about packages. It had become personal. The next day, my internet stopped working. When the technician came to check, we discovered that someone had deliberately cut my cable in the hall. While I was explaining the situation to the technician, I noticed Rebecca passing by, smiling subtly. In the dorm's WhatsApp group, other students started reporting similar issues. Anyone who had confronted Rebecca in any way was suffering small acts of sabotage. One person ended up with clothes accidentally soaked at the laundry. Another found their printed assignment messed up with garbage by the cleaning crew, a crew that Rebecca partly coordinated. "Dude, she's at war with us," one of the victims wrote in the group. Jeremy, who had been quiet since the Wasps incident, finally spoke. "If it's war she wants, it's war she's going to get." That night, we met at his apartment. Besides me, there were 3 other students who had suffered from Rebecca's retaliations. Jeremy locked the door and lowered the blinds before speaking. "The Wasps were just a warning. We need something definitive, something that completely exposes who she is." "I'm tired of always looking over my shoulder," said Maria, a chemistry student whose research reagents had mysteriously disappeared from the lab after she confronted Rebecca. "Last week I got a plagiarism warning I never earned. Guess who found evidence in the system?" We fell silent, contemplating how rapidly the situation was escalating. That's when Jeremy pulled up his laptop and showed us a YouTube video. "Have you seen those glitter bombs they send to package thieves? We can build an improved version." I spent the following week gathering materials discreetly. Jeremy drew up the plans, while Maria contributed her chemistry knowledge to add a special element to the mix. A non-toxic spray, but with a terrible smell that would last for days. The plan was simple, yet ingenious. We built an apparently normal Amazon box. Inside, there was a mechanism connected to the lid. When opened, a spring would launch a controlled burst of ultrafine glitter, the kind that's almost impossible to completely remove. At the same time, a small device would spray the foul-smelling spray, while a motion-activated recorder played a pre-recorded message. "It's not just about scaring her, it's about public exposure," explained Jeremy, as he soldered the final components. "The glitter will be the physical evidence she can't hide. The smell will give her away for days, no matter how many showers she takes. And the message will be the cherry on top." We carefully recorded the message, using snippets of conversations with other students who had their packages stolen, followed by a direct statement. "Rebecca Thompson, you have been caught stealing students' packages since August. This glitter and this smell are your public mark of shame. The next package you steal will be delivered directly to the dean, along with all our evidence." The box was finalized on a Friday. We decided it would be best to leave it at the start of the weekend, when more students would be around to witness the fallout. "Are you sure about this?" Maria asked, her nervousness clear in her voice. "She might get us expelled if she finds out it was us." "She's already trying to screw us over in every way," I replied. "At least this way we have a chance to put an end to all this once and for all." On Saturday morning, we left the package at my apartment door with an attractive label mentioning Apple product replacement. We discreetly installed 2 mini cameras, one in the hallway and another by the emergency staircase with a view of my door. We didn't have to wait long. At 11:17 a.m., Rebecca appeared in the hallway. She was wearing gloves. Clearly, she had learned something from the previous incident. She looked both ways, making sure the corridor was empty, then swiftly grabbed the package. Her expression of triumph was almost comical. We went back to Jeremy's apartment to watch the second act live from our cameras. Rebecca entered her apartment with the package. For 15 minutes, nothing happened. We were starting to worry that she might have figured out the trap. "Maybe she's waiting to open it later," suggested Maria. That's when we heard a scream. Even though we were 3 floors apart, the sound was unmistakable. Then, on the monitor, we saw Rebecca's door burst open violently. She staggered out into the hallway, completely covered in metallic purple glitter that caught the fluorescent light. The spray had created a visible haze around her. And then, the final touch. The recorded message blaring loudly, echoing through the hallway. "Rebecca Thompson, you have been caught stealing students' packages since August." Other students started opening their doors, drawn by the commotion. Cell phones were raised, capturing the moment as Rebecca, covered in sparkling glitter and exuding an odor that made people recoil, desperately tried to silence the device that kept repeating her accusations. The message ended with a final note. "This video and all documentation of your thefts have been sent to campus security and the student conduct office." In truth, we hadn't sent anything yet. but the panic in her eyes showed that she truly believed it. Rebecca looked directly into one of the students' cameras and yelled, "You have no idea what you've done! This is harassment! I'm going to sue all of you!" But her threat lost all its impact when she tried to step forward and left a trail of purple glitter on the floor. One of the students in the hallway, who had lost important medication in a package stolen months before, shouted loud enough for everyone to hear, "It's funny how the harassed one is covered in purple glitter, exactly the color of the box that held my meds that never arrived." Other students began to gather, keeping a safe distance because of the smell, but close enough to confront her. "Where's my Kindle? And my headphones? What happened to the birthday present my mom sent?" Rebecca retreated back into her apartment and closed the door, leaving behind a sparkling trail of evidence that no broom could hide. From our monitor, we saw students taking photos of the glitter trail leading straight to her door. Jeremy slowly closed his laptop, a smile creeping onto his face. "I think we just won this war." That night, the dorm's WhatsApp group exploded with videos and photos of the incident. Someone made a meme comparing Rebecca to a Twilight character, glowing under the light. Another edited the scene with Purple Rain playing in the background. But beyond the jokes, something important was happening. Students were finally sharing their stories, piecing together months of small thefts that, when added up, revealed a disturbing pattern of predatory behavior against those Rebecca deemed beneath her. For the first time since it all started, I slept peacefully, without worrying about what might go missing the next morning. On the following Monday, I was woken up by persistent knocking on the door. It was 7:15 in the morning. When I opened it, I was greeted by Dr. Anderson, the director of student housing, accompanied by 2 campus security officers. "We need to talk about the weekend incident," he said, his expression serious but with something like a slight smile at the corners of his mouth. I was taken to the administrative office where 4 other students were already waiting. Jeremy, Maria, and 2 others who had been especially vocal in the WhatsApp group. My stomach sank. Had Rebecca managed to turn the tables on us? "Do you have any idea how serious what happened was?" began Dr. Anderson, slowly walking around the table. "I have over 50 students reporting package thefts. We have video evidence circulating all over campus. The reputation of this university is at stake." I kept a neutral expression, but inside I was bracing myself for the worst. "Expulsion? Lawsuit?" "And so," he continued, finally sitting down, "we discovered that one of our employees is responsible for all of this." There was a moment of silence before I processed what he had said. "Officially, I can't condone vigilante justice with glitter bombs," he said, almost laughing at the end. "But unofficially, you all exposed a serious problem that was happening right under our noses." Jeremy leaned forward. "What's going to happen to Rebecca?" Dr. Anderson sighed. "She's claiming that she's the victim of a student conspiracy, but dozens of students have sent in evidence of thefts over the past few months. Various items were found in her apartment during an authorized inspection, including, by the way, your headset," he pointed at me. "She's been temporarily suspended while the Human Resources Department conducts a full investigation." We left the meeting with light warnings for unconventional conflict resolution methods, but no serious punishment. The relief was palpable. When we returned to the dorm, we noticed something different. Students were greeting each other in the hallways. Some even patted us on the back or nodded in discreet approval. In the cafeteria, a first-year girl offered me her spot in line. "You're like legends now," she said. "My roommate lost a family ring that her grandma sent. We all thought it was lost in the mail." The story spread like wildfire. A film student even made a short documentary titled "Justice Shines," with anonymous interviews from the victims. The video of Rebecca covered in glitter had been viewed more than 50,000 times on the university's confession page. But not everything was cause for celebration. Even though Rebecca was suspended, she still lived in the building, and hallway encounters were tense. In her desperate attempt to avoid public humiliation, she had dug herself an even deeper hole. On Wednesday, she walked into the cafeteria while Jeremy and I were having lunch. She was dressed in a turtleneck and sunglasses, but nothing could hide the tiny traces of glitter that still clung to her hair and skin. Rumor had it that the smell still lingered in her apartment despite 3 professional cleanings. "You ruined my life," she hissed as she passed our table, low enough for only us to hear. "I have 15 years of service at this university. The administration isn't going to pick a bunch of transient students over me." Jeremy remained unfazed. "Maybe you should have thought about that before stealing our packages." She walked away, but not before I noticed tears of frustration welling in her eyes. For the first time, I felt a twinge of remorse. Not for what we did, but for the fact that it had to come to this extreme. On Friday, the administration called an emergency meeting for all dorm residents. The auditorium was packed when Dr. Anderson took the stage, accompanied by Chancellor Diaz, a woman known for her strict stance on university ethics. After a thorough investigation, began Chancellor Diaz, we have determined that serious breaches of trust and conduct occurred in this dorm. The employee in question has been officially terminated from the university and will be escorted to collect her belongings from the institutional apartment by Monday. A murmur ran through the room. It wasn't common for an employee to be let go so quickly, especially someone with Rebecca's length of service. Moreover, she continued, we will be implementing new security protocols for deliveries. Additional cameras will be installed in the receiving areas, and a system of smart lockers will be introduced next semester. After the meeting, a student I didn't know approached me. She looked nervous, holding an envelope. Are you the guy from, the glitter incident? She asked almost in a whisper. I hesitated before nodding, unsure if it was a good or a bad thing. My dad's a lawyer, she continued. When I told him what happened here, he asked me to give this to you and your friends. The envelope contained a business card and a handwritten note. Impressed with your determination. If you need legal representation for any retaliation, my services are free. What you did benefited the whole community. That night, we watched from Jeremy's window as campus security escorted Rebecca to her car. She was only carrying a small suitcase. Her face was swollen from crying so much, but her posture remained rigid as she tried to hold on to what little dignity she had left. Do you think she'll try something against us? Asked Maria, who had joined us to witness this final chapter. I doubt it, replied Jeremy. Any legal action would only draw more attention to what she did. And from what I heard from the HR interns, they found much more in her apartment than just our packages. The weekend passed relatively quietly. On Sunday night, we were surprised by another announcement from the administration. Rebecca was to be transferred to another university campus over 200 kilometers away, where she would work under direct supervision and without any contact with student residences. On Monday, a moving team emptied her apartment. Among the items they took were several Amazon boxes that had never been opened, trophies of her activities that she never even bothered to use. 2 weeks later, life in the dorm had returned to a new normal. The smart lockers for packages were installed ahead of schedule. The system sent a unique code for each student to pick up their delivery, eliminating the problem of packages being left at the door. On a sunny Tuesday, I received a notification on my phone. Your delivery has arrived. Use code 3794 for pickup. It was a new headset, finally replaced by Amazon after the whole ordeal. As I walked down to the lobby to pick it up, I passed by Rebecca's old apartment, now occupied by a visiting comparative literature professor. In the lobby, I found Jeremy checking his own package. Isn't it weird, he commented as we typed in our codes, how something as small as a stolen package ended up revealing such a big problem. And building a stronger community, I added, looking around at the students chatting and helping each other with their deliveries. People who barely talked before now knew each other by name. When I opened my assigned locker, I found my headset perfectly packaged. No glitter, no wasps, no confrontations. Just the product I had paid for, delivered as it should have been from the start. That night, I attended my online class with the new headset. The professor was discussing ethics and justice in closed communities, a coincidental irony that made me smile. After class, I received a message in the dorm's group chat. It was a photo of Rebecca's old door, now decorated by the new tenant with a small sign that read, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." Someone had added in colorful marker, "Or you'll get hit with a glitter bomb in return." Somewhere far away, I imagined Rebecca learning that lesson the hard way, still trying to wash away the last shiny traces of her downfall. And in our dorm, packages arrived and departed exactly as they should, while a once divided community now shared a story that would be told to freshmen for years to come. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like to get access to more stories like this. Normalcy had returned, but with one crucial difference. We learned that even seemingly small problems deserve to be confronted, and together, we could do so much more than alone. Rebecca taught us, unintentionally, the importance of community and justice, delivered in a box full of purple glitter, with effects far more lasting than any product she could have stolen.